Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching Study IQ IAS English channel. In our today's video, we are going to understand why is government taking the help of private sector in conserving our important heritage monuments. Now the notes that I will be using in this session, in case if you want to download them, you can go to this particular Telegram channel ATS Live and download them. Now and while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So let us start our today's discussion by understanding the context of our discussion. Now, this context informs us that the central government has proposed a radical change. It is trying to enlist the help of private sector in ensuring conservation of our protected and heritage monuments. And why is this surprising? Because up till now, at present, the only body responsible for conservation of natural heritage or our preservation of important monuments is the Archaeological Survey of India. Now, Archaeological Survey of India, in its roles and responsibilities, is responsible for ensuring conservation of as many as more than 3,700 monuments, which is a gigantic task. So that is why government is also trying to enlist the help of private sector for the same. Now, why is this proposal radical? Is it good? Is it bad? What kind of changes is government looking to bring in? We'll discuss it in our today's video. Okay, let us start by understanding what are the proposals that the government has brought. Government has said that they will enlist the services of conservation architects. Now, conservation architects are the experts in the field of conservation. So these people, they will be enlisted by the government, and these people will be responsible for guiding the private sector how to ensure conservation of the monuments, right? Now, where does private sector comes in? Now, private sector obviously would pitch in through their monetary investments. Now, this will be routed through a particular fund known as National Cultural Fund. And the money that the private sector is going to spend in this conservation related activities would become a part of their CSR spending, the corporate social responsibility spending. And obviously all this spending would be tax free. Now, in addition to that, not just private sector is spending money, but they're getting something out of it also. Now, this kind of a scheme would also provide private sector the much needed visibility. They can display their hoardings, they can display their banners over the monument, highlighting that X or Y company is responsible for conservation of the monument. So this would give them good branding, this would give them good advertisement, good reputation, right? So this is what in it's for the private sector. Now, what is the biggest question you might be thinking? Why did the government decide to enlist the help of private sector? There is many reasons. First reason is because the Archaeological Survey of India, which is responsible for managing and conserving as many as 3,700 monuments, is resource starved. Let us talk about the responsibility. I told you they are managing more than 3,700 monuments. On the other hand, their budget is just 1,100 to 1,200 crore every year, and only 50% of this budget is used for conservation, which is grossly insufficient. Now, in addition to facing funding shortage, they are also facing shortage in terms of required staff, and that is why their conservation work often gets delayed. So this is the first problem on the part of ASI. Another problem is that has been highlighted by a Rajya Sabha Standing Committee back in 2022. In its report, this committee highlighted that there are as many as 50 monuments in India who have gotten missing or they are untraceable. And how do you think a monument might go missing? Because encroachment, because changes in land use due to urbanization has happened, and because of weak monitoring that was done by the resource crunch organization, that is ASI. Now, this was the problem related to ASI, that it was not able to do its job efficiently because of obviously funding and staff shortages. Now, this private sector, if they would come in, it would bring much needed innovation. It would bring much needed accountability in the conservation of monuments. They could enlist the services of experts, ensure efficiency in their service delivery, and ensure effective monitoring in their work. That will be done through ASI. So this is where private sector would come in, and that is how the help of private sector has been enlisted. Now, is it the first time you're hearing that the private sector and its capacities are utilized in any part of our heritage? The answer is no. Earlier, government came up with Adopt a Heritage scheme, and in this scheme, the private sector was responsible for creation of public amenities, creation of visitors facilities nearby the monuments. That they were responsible for construction of cafes, making toilets, displaying signage, etc. Now, what is different about Adopt a Heritage scheme and what is different about the present proposal is the amount of work that the private sector is doing in the monuments. In the Adopt a Heritage scheme, private sector was only responsible for making civic and public amenities. It was not responsible for conserving the monument, and this is what is different about the present proposal. In present proposal, private companies would do everything that they were doing in Adopt a Heritage scheme. In addition to that, they will also be responsible for conservation of the natural heritage. Understood? So this is what is different. Now, what are the benefits of this kind of an idea? First is that it helps you bring a sustainable public-private partnership model. Well, the monitoring would be done by the public agency like ASI, whereas the private company would bring in much needed fund which can be used for their CSR spending, and they would also reduce the burden on the public exchequer. So the funding aspect of the ASI is covered here. Similarly, when private sector comes in, it brings much needed efficiency, and this would improve the project timelines, that the conservations would take lesser time and it would be much better in quality. Similarly, it would also provide more employment opportunities to conservation architects and experts in the field. So more good news for Indian economy also. In addition to that, it will also create public engagement in these sites. It would create awareness among the lives of public. Why are these monuments important? Why is it important for us to conserve these monuments in its original form? So this is what is benefits of such a scheme. Now, that does not mean that there is everything hunky and dory. Obviously, there are many challenges. First is the risk of commercialization. Now, you need to understand private sector involves in any activity with a motive of profit, and there's nothing wrong in it. But what becomes wrong is, what if these heritage sites are used by private companies for their publicity purposes or for their branding related purposes? And there was this big controversy when Adopt a Heritage scheme also came. Many allegations, many experts, they levied an allegation that it would privatize our national heritage, right? So this is something of a touchy topic. In addition to that, I told you private companies have a motive of profit. So they might focus more on aesthetics, less on conserving the monuments in its original form to ensure authenticity. So this might be another problem. And the third problem is relating to the capacities of ASI. I told you the agency responsible for monitoring of private agencies would also be ASI. But I told you their capacity also is very limited because of funding and staff shortage. So these might be the concerns and challenges which may be faced by private companies or may be faced by our national heritage just because of increased privatization. Okay. Now, before solving the practice question, I have something I wanted to inform. Now, whatever I discussed becomes a part of art and culture, and art and culture is a part of history syllabus. Now, if you want to know more about history, not just history, but other subjects also, polity, economy, geography, IR, security, etc., we cover everything in our P2I batches. Now, students who are looking to give exams in 2027 or 28, you have two options. You can take either 2027 batch or 2028 batch, obviously according to whatever suits you the best. Now, the best part about is that you don't just get live classes, but you also get test series for both prelims and mains. You get one-to-one mentorship, daily answer writing practice, which eventually would be very helpful when you have to clear this exam, and you need a multidimensional perspective, which we already are going to give you. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind before taking the admission is that if you use this code ATS Live, it would fetch you maximum discounts, not on just this, but on all the courses that are offered on our website, including the optional courses. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Now let us try to solve this practice question, which actually is a PYQ of UPSC that appeared in last year. With reference to corporate social responsibility rules, consider the following statements. The first statement, CSR rules specify that expenditures that benefit the company directly or its employees won't be considered as a part of CSR activities. Now, to solve this question or to solve this statement, you need to know the principle of CSR. What does CSR stands for? Corporate social responsibility. This means that whatever money the corporates are making, it is not just because of their employees or to their business. It is also due to the indirect support that the company is getting from the broader community. So as a method of gesture, as a gesture of goodwill, the company should also return a part of its profit to the broader benefit of the society. So this is the purpose of CSR. So first statement obviously becomes incorrect because any benefit that the company provides to its employees would be a part and parcel of their normal business, not a part of CSR spending. Second, CSR rules do not specify a minimum spending requirement. This is incorrect. You know why? Because CSR rule says that the companies would have to spend 2% of their average profit that they have made in last 3 financial years, and this is the minimum limit of CSR spending that a private company needs to do. Therefore, second statement becomes incorrect, as only first statement is right and we have to identify correct statements. So option A is your right answer. So this is how you approach a PYQ. Understood? Now, if you want to download the notes that I've utilized in this session, you can go to this channel and download the notes. And if you have problems in locating the channel, you can always scan the QR code. So this is all from my side. Please have a very good day.